We're going to introduce her in a moment, but what you're here for is a live recording of the Stacking Adventure Show. So feel free to chat, to ask our special guest questions. We are headed to Belize today, which also is a place that Crystal has been. So if you're dreaming about tropical weather, we've got you covered today. So Crystal, anything else we need to say, or we just want to get into it?
Let's get this show on the road.
All
That's
right.
you forget the most important cliche phrase.
And we got to have the cliche phrase. It's not Stacking Ventures without that. All right, let me pull this up. Here we go. Crystal, you've been to Belize.
Yes, I went back in 2013. It seems so long ago, but it seems like yesterday too at the same time.
My daughter went to Belize. She had a great time, could not stop sharing photos of it. I had a friend named Rob who went to Belize, and when he got off the plane, he texted all of us and said, guess what? I'm buying property in Belize, because he loved it so much.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if he ever did, but and apparently it wasn't a timeshare either.
Okay.
So.
See, Rob, we would love to stay at your place. Please reach out to Crystal at Joe at Stacking Adventures. Please, ASAP.
Well, from gambling on chicken poop, I think that's a story Crystal's going to have, to snorkeling galore, to tons of other adventures. Today we have for a little nation on the eastern shores of Central America, Belize, with our guest adventurer who slow travels the world, Cris.
Ooh. And
Hey
at the
there.
end, hey Chris, welcome, welcome, welcome. So at the end of this episode and every show, you're gonna hear she's gonna give us a special gear of the day pick. So if you're looking for best in class gear that's worth the price, head to our Amazon page at stackingadventures.com/GOTD, which is gear of the day. You can type it if you want, but you help the show and you help yourself adventure better and for less money. Cha-ching.
Right. The music comes up, music comes down. Welcome back to the Stacking Adventures podcast, where you head around the world. Every adventure has a story. And today, Crystal, we have an adventurer who has lots of stories. We had to pick one for today because this woman could probably be like our third host. She's been to so many different places, Crystal.
She could be our map also, since she's been to so many places.
She
Well,
could be. And that is the
became
woman.
human map. Yeah.
The woman, I bet she's never been called a human map before. The woman behind Suitcase and a Smiles here, our good friend Cris Golick. How are you, Cris?
I'm great. Thanks. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today.
Oh my goodness. We've been trying to, as our adventures don't know, but you know very well, we've tried to hook this up for a while, but you're all over the place, girlfriend.
I am. I've been moving. I've had a lot of fast travel this past year or so. So I'm getting ready to slow it down, which I'm really excited to do so coming up here in Belize.
Yeah, because fast travel really is not your jam at all.
No, I don't care for it. I enjoy a week or two vacation a couple times a year. But this last year, I just had different things going on. Friends and family wanted to join me. And so just working around their schedules, it made my schedule move faster than normal too.
How did you originally get started on this slow travel forever journey that you're on?
Yeah, it was back in 2018. I had come across the Choose FI communities, so the whole fire communities. At the same time, I had learned about digital nomads, and I was already self-employed with a fully remote business. It worked by email. So I was traveling around the US since 2017, visiting friends and family, managing my business by email. And when I was able to kind of tie the characteristics of the fire community or the FI community with a digital nomad life, I just knew for me, I could sell everything I own, start living abroad and going to all these amazing places, staying a handful of months at a time, lower my expenses, increase my income, save and invest. And hey, I retired early. So.
And even going back, let's go all the way back to the basics, like we're 5'2", because you mentioned two really, really huge things: the fire community, which everybody does not know what that means, and you mentioned digital nomad, which not everyone knows what that means either.
Yeah, so the fire community, financial independence, retire early. We're all nerdy people trying to figure out what can we do to save so we don't have to work until we're 100 years old. And then the digital nomads are people that have some sort of online career or company or a way to earn money that isn't necessarily working in a brick and mortar place. And they have a flexibility of being able to get up and take their stuff and go hang out in a certain area and enjoy life and then move along to the next country. And that's kind of what I wanted to marry both of those lifestyles together. And that's what I did. So I have been very lucky. My parents have let me, we traveled as a family to a lot of different places around the US and then touch internationally. And I was working for a company still in 2017 that took me out to do some work in Dubai. And my mind was just blown. I had really only been to like the Caribbean on cruises and Mexico, been up to Canada before, but I had never been to Europe at that time. And obviously Dubai is in the Middle East. And that was so eye-opening to me. And it was at that point in time, I just knew I had to go see the world. And shortly after, I actually stopped working for that company, started my own. And yeah, once I took 1 full year to do research about what do I need to know about living out of a suitcase and among a lot of different countries. And once I gathered all that information, because I'm a planner and I love my spreadsheets, then I decided this would be the right fit for me and sold everything I owned in 2019 and took off.
Oh, I love it. This is my one day. I'm going to spend this next year researching.
If people that don't know, Crystal works for the government. You should just tell them. You should say, I'm going to be a digital government nomad. Because I know the federal government's into that right now, Crystal, just you working from anywhere.
Right. Absolutely not. That's the opposite.
Well, today, Cris, because we picked Belize, and I understand you're headed back to Belize shortly after we record this.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm going to head back down to Placencia Village, Belize. So a little tiny village, it's not the southern end of Belize, but mid to southern-ish, and hang out there for probably 5 months, maybe longer. I don't know. I'm playing it by ear. It's all good.
Five months.
Just hang
That's
out
so
for 5
long.
months.
I know there's slow travel and then there's slow travel. So,
yeah.
Well, let's start here then. Why Belize? Of all places, what do you like about there? What did you like last time? Why are you headed back?
Yeah. So the first time I went, I think was also in 2017, if I remember, something like that, 2016, 2017. I went for 10 days. The reason why this little village popped up on my radar is through seeing family friends and videos. They have been connected to this village for a couple decades, and my family friends were building a home back in the day. And I saw this video of like all these supplies on this raft that they were pulling across, like on a pulley system on this little waterway. And then they're building this house on this little island. And I'm like, what are you doing? And where is this? So that's how I found Placencia Village, through family friends. And so I finally, and that they were doing that years before I went down there. So 2017-ish, I went down for 10 days because I think I was still working for that other company. And, you only get a week or two off of work.
Yeah, right.
So went down with a buddy, and this is a village, and it is rustic. So there's one road. The village is 1 mile long, 1/4 mile wide, and you walk everywhere. And I just loved it because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so different than anything else I have ever been to. The population is like 2,000 people. So, just tiny. And it was just so cool though. Everybody was so nice and I had a great time. And fast forward, I became a, digital nomad and sold everything and left. And I had my intentions to spend 3 months in Belize in 2020. Guess what happened?
I don't know. What happened? No, I'm kidding.
So I get to Belize, I think it was like 5 days before lockdown happened.
Oh my.
And so I had time to make a decision. Is this where I'm going to stay, or should I try and go somewhere else? And I chose to stay, and I'm very grateful that I did. My 3 month stay turned into 19 months. So I
19
lived
months in Belize.
in Placencia Village.
In Placencia,
little
where you're going
village.
back to specifically.
Where I'm going back to now, because I have all these amazing friends, and I want to go back and see them. The village has expanded a lot since I've been there, and there's new businesses in. I unfortunately have lost some friends. They, didn't make it, but it's going to be great to go back and visit. I'm renting from one of my friends. She actually came out to Europe this last year and hung out with me in Albania and Greece. So I'm excited to go.
Are these friends, Cris? Are they expats, or are they people originally from Belize? Are these what is it, Belizean people?
Yeah, Belizeans. Yeah, it's a mix. I will say the majority of my closer friends are expats. A lot of the Belizeans, they're working all the time. And since I have more freedom, I tend to have the,
Sure.
8 a.m. coffee with the retired expat,
Yeah,
so, but no, I have a mixture of them. I'm really, really excited to see some of my Belizean friends, because I've been watching their careers change since I've been gone over these years. And I'm so proud of them. And I just want to get down there and give them big old hugs and, see the stuff that you don't see on social media.
How have they changed?
One young man, he was able to change from being like an assistant at a real estate company to being a realtor himself. And it's just been so cool to watch his journey from afar. Another one of my Belizean girlfriends, she's had another baby, and I can't wait. Well, now it's a toddler, so I can't wait, to see them. And yeah.
I love this transition, Crystal, about what Cris is talking about, because most of the time we talk about going to see the things, going to see Petra, or going to see the pyramids, or going to see, the Burj Khalifa, or whatever the thing is. But I love this idea that Cris brings up, Crystal, about seeing the people. Because I remember Joseph Rosendo from Travel Scope, that greatest hits we played, where he was like, when you really get into travel, it's much more about the people. And I got to say, Cris, just following you in Suitcase and a Smile, it seems like that's what you're all about, really. It seems like it's much more the people as much as the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% going back down because of the community. Like one thing I've been to, like total, I've been to like maybe 43 countries, but
is that it?
Just it.
But only try harder.
I think like 25 or so have been in the last 6 years, while I've been, nomad life outside of the US, if you will.
Yeah.
And community is really, really important to me. I feel like I do nomad differently than a lot of my other friends. I think a lot of my other nomad friends, they want to go to a place because they do want to see something, whatever the cool, iconic
touristy.
Which is great. I like to see stuff too, but more importantly to me is the community. I want to know what are the regular events happening when I get there, because that's how I make friends, whether they're expats, other nomads, or the local, natives themselves. And I get to learn from all of these different groups. And what I do love about Placencia, they've figured it out. There's a legit calendar of social events. So I believe it's Wednesday evenings. I'm going to go play shuffleboard with a group of people. I think the horseshoe tournament moved to Tuesdays since I've been gone. During the pandemic, we had underground poker. I got to kind of do a couple WhatsApp numbers to see if I can get back into that, if it's still going. We had 3 different games going. So, and then we have different trivias now. You've got the standard like pub trivia that you guys are probably used to, but it's over the water. There's no TV screens and stuff. It's somebody reading a piece of paper and you write it down, but now we have music trivia that also happens at another little joint. And, and one of my favorite things is a fundraiser by the local Rotary Club, which I'll jump back into. They do a Friday night bingo. So it's a fundraiser, and then the money goes towards typically a school that's up the peninsula a little bit. The village is at the end of a 16-mile peninsula. So it's not really an island. A peninsula is a body of land, that kind of sticks out, and it's connected to the mainland. But yeah, there's just so many things to do. And then I'm a huge snorkel person, so that's more touristy type things that I'll do as well.
Oh, that sounds so fun though.
You didn't do the poop thing. So the first night we were there, it was some strange place we went. There was like, it was
Oh,
outside. They have the big board of
you
numbers.
went to Bubba Wubba's. So
Yes. See?
okay, I'm literally, when you're at that bar, it's on the lagoon, and if you're looking at the water from there, the place I'm renting is literally right across from that. So yeah, so
It was
that
in your backyard.
you're literally in my backyard. Yeah, so they put this grid on the ground, and it's like picking squares, your $5
Yeah.
bet or whatever it is these days. And then yeah, you see when the chicken poops on the number, and whoever's number it poops on first wins. So welcome to Belize.
I know. I was explaining it to Joe, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah, no, it's real.
Well, who needs a television when you've got
Yeah,
that?
no.
I mean, come on. That is fabulous.
Well, but then another thing I talked about was, getting there, and it was like you take like the little hopper plane.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, my armrest was like the back of his seat. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is a little tiny plane.
And if you're lucky, you get to sit in the co-pilot seat.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So the planes, typically they hold about 13 people. So 12 in the back and then one in the co-pilot,
Yep.
and then the pilot himself. And yeah, it's a little puddle jumper. So the big planes, if you will, land in Belize City at the one
Yep.
airport. And then there's just these small airstrips around the country. And yep, so I'm going there May 9th. I'll land in Belize City, give myself a little bit of time to go through immigration and customs, and then I'll check into my little airline, Tropic Air. They'll take my bag, and it's a little puddle jumper plane. If they go direct from Belize City to Placencia, it'll be a 25 minute ride. If they stop in Dangria first to do a touchdown and like maybe swap a few people out, then it'll take 30, 40 minutes. But otherwise it's like a 4-hour drive on. But they paved the highway. There's a highway now, a highway, using air quotes, because it's not really a highway.
I noticed, I was just looking, Chris, on Google Maps, and I saw that, just north of you is Mexico. And so you've got all these highways in Mexico, and it looks like they all kind of stop at the Belize border, and then it's fight for yourself, or
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's what I love about Belize is that it has kept these like original rustic elements. So, there's just not this huge grid road system that is in a lot of more developed countries. Now, there's still electricity and running water and all that good stuff. And a lot of the accommodations, especially if they're owned by foreigners, all have air conditioning in my bedroom, but not in the kitchen or living room area. I have a ceiling fan in there though, so I'm excited about that.
Almost like what you and I saw, because Chris and I met in Bali, and you'd see that around Bali, where your bedroom would have air conditioning, but then the living room was exposed. It was just nice outside weather.
Yeah, we have louver windows, and I believe the rental I'm going to be in has glass louvers. So even when they're shut, so they're like little slats, and you turn a little knob and they open and close. The other place I lived in before had metal ones. So when they're closed, you can't see out. So the glass ones are nice, because that way you can keep out, there's screens on them to keep out the little bugs and mosquitoes and stuff too. But the fresh air is great, especially at night. But it's still going to be pretty warm. So
there's something that you touched on, Chris, that I really want to go back to, because for our frequent adventures, I love something that that you taught me, which is that you belong to Rotary. And when you go to these different places, you go check out the local Rotary group, and that's how you begin to make friends and see the people in different places. So for our adventurers that belong to maybe Rotary, or is Kiwanis also worldwide? I don't know. I know Rotary is the largest worldwide organization. I do know that. They still hold that record.
What is Rotary?
So Rotary International
You don't know what Rotary is, Crystal?
No, I've heard
of well, this is good.
It's an amazing organization that is all about helping people. They really value doing what they can to bring potable water to all types of communities. With their research, they've also shown that if a community has drinkable, potable water, then the education tends to be better in that community. Women and their success in life rises, and I mean all this stuff. It's been a while. I don't have it all memorized, but I just love they want to give back to communities, and they do have a focus on education and all sorts of things. I know there's 6 pillars, and I don't have it memorized though.
No, but it's just a great way to. Even if you're not a traveler, which is why we're here, is be a traveler. It's a great way to get into your local community. I've given talks at our local Rotary, and people in our city government are there. People that are local administrators are there from the school system. People that work in all the businesses in town are part of it. And it's a great way, man, to get to know Texarkana, where I live, or get to know any community, because a lot of the who's who belong to Rotary.
Yeah, and each club chooses a focus for the year, and then they raise money for whatever that is that they want to accomplish in a community. And a lot of Rotary clubs worldwide work with each other. So one in Belize might partner with somebody in a different country, and then they work together in their respective areas to have whatever goal accomplished. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, in Bali, where I got together with the Sanur Rotary Club, and that president was awesome. We had a lovely brunch. She told me about, they were doing a lot of water cleanup initiatives, and especially focusing on getting plastics out of the water in that region, because it's a big issue. And I also did Kotor, Montenegro. Now that one was interesting to attend because they hold their club meetings in their native language, Montenegrin. And I know like 3 words. So they were very kind.
I'm not bragging, but I know 3 words.
Hey, Dober Dan. Thank you. So they did part of their meeting in English for me, and then they did their business in their local language, because I was like, that's fine. But everybody was really, really nice, and that was fun. And it was really cool to see like what they were doing, in their part of the world. And in Mexico, well, in a lot of places you can find an English speaking group and then a local language group. So I do try and attend the English ones just because that's
to understand what the hell's actually going
on. I like to know what's going on and participate, because if I can lend a hand, I love to do that. So.
Well, the music's coming up in the second half of today's discussion. We're going to talk to Cris. We're actually going to focus, believe it or not, now less on slow travel, much more on Belize. Right. Cris, we're going to ask you about if somebody is going there for the first time, what are the things they should see while I'm there? Where should they try to visit? Do you have any advice about accommodations or foods they should eat? We're going to ask you those questions, but it's the halfway point, and halfway through today's show, if you're brand new here, we call this the road trip pit stop. And the pit stop, you're always dreaming about what's at the end of the adventure. How cool is it going to be, Crystal, when we finally get to Belize?
Are we there yet?
I know. Our pit stop is always at our gear of the day. You can see past gears of the day, as Crystal said earlier, at stackingventures.com/gear of the day, or GOTD. So, Cris, you have today's gear of the day, a piece of gear. What is our hint? Yeah. So Crystal and I can try to figure out what the heck our gear is.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this product. It's kind of newer for me. I haven't been traveling with it for super long. There's 2 components to it. One is made out of a silicone kind of flexible material, and the other would be more sturdy mesh-like. I would consider it more of like a kitchen type travel product, and
mesh.
Either you're going to use it, more than likely, you're going to use it in the morning or late in the evening.
Silicone and mesh, kitchen type product. Crystal, don't share yet, but are you thinking of something? Do you have an idea?
I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, I have an idea.
We're going to think about it. We'll be right back. Ventures, all think about it. We're going to hear from a couple of our sponsors that make sure this is free. All this goodness is free with Cris, and we'll be right back. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, Cris, you shared that
Mm.
it's part of it's silicone, part of it is mesh. It's a kitchen type product where you use it in the morning or late at night. Our gear. See, I was
Is
thinking when
it?
she said mesh and silicone,
Yeah.
I thought it was some kind of hard hat like mosquito netting,
Oh,
which
that
is
you could
which is
sleep in
way off
that.
because you're not going to just wear that in the kitchen. I've
Maybe is it was it potable water for Texarkana?
a mesh with a what does the mesh do? Get all the grime out of the Texarkana water?
Yes.
Is that what you're
Do
saying?
you guys have plumbing? I didn't know.
It's
Is that a
easy.
place? Is that a real place?
I'm right here, Crystal. Holy cow.
It's not a colander. It's gotta be some kind of toothbrush kind of thing. Nope.
We're going to find out at the end of
Yeah.
today's episode. I'm going to keep
Do
thinking
you
about it.
have a? Okay, you're gonna keep thinking about it.
All right.
Uh,
All
oh,
right.
someone in the comments said I love following Cris on Facebook.
Oh, that's our friend
Yeah.
Tracy from the Divorce Money
Okay.
Guide.
Oh,
You have a
cool.
fan here,
Okay.
Cris, hanging
I
out
just
with
saw
us.
the word
Wow,
divorce.
that's
I'm like,
awesome.
don't I say, hey, divorce? Just chimed in.
She has the Divorce Money Guide. And glad Tracy's hanging out. Tracy and I were talking on the phone earlier today, in fact. All
Oh,
right.
thanks, Tracy.
Cris, it's our first time going to Belize. What's the stuff we really need to make sure we do on our first trip to Belize?
Okay, you have to go to the ATM cave. It's not an ATM
Oh.
machine, it's a
Oh,
cave. ATM, it's an abbreviation. The name of it, I don't know how to pronounce it. That is the big tourist thing to do. Now, again, I lived there during the pandemic, so everything was shut down. And when the government finally allowed us to do internal tourism, that's how I was able to go. They limit the number of people to go to this cave, but you need to be mobile and agile and
Oh,
not be
no.
afraid of heights as well.
Oh,
They put a life vest and a helmet and a forehead lamp,
yeah.
whatever that's called.
Light,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, the
Flashlight.
headlight and or head flashlight on you. And to get into the cave, you start by swimming into this body of water that then opens up to the mouth of the cave.
Oh my God.
And
Oh.
inside this cave, they've done nothing to it. So it's original. And you're swimming and then you're kind of hiking over stuff and you go way far deep and it's pitch black because they didn't put any lights in it. And it's just
Duh, it's a
you and your
cave.
guide. And you get into an area, then you got to climb this tall wall, like free climb. And you get up to what's called a dry shelf. And so then you take off your shoes. You need to wear socks. And you're kind of walking on this like clay platform, if you will, that it's all rock. And in the very back, there is I believe they call it the Diamond Princess. There is a real skeleton that this salt has crystallized over it. And they have brought in a light that the tour guides are allowed to turn on for a short period of time to show the crystallization and
To show what you're gonna look like when you die there.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't make it out, like if you don't make it out of here,
right. Yeah.
This
gonna
is
be
you.
It was the coolest experience.
future.
I
Wow.
value how they've kept it original. It's not like I grew up in Kansas and Missouri, so you have the like fantastic caverns and you go in and it's like a little
have the
train
right
ride
cavern.
into a cave and lights and railings and no, this is a legit real
Safety.
cave. And then they tell you about the Mayans and the history and everything. But that honestly, prior to another experience I've had since then, that was my number one thing I have done anywhere in the world. So now it falls in number 2.
Wow.
Do you know the history of the skeleton at all? Does anybody know?
Oh yes. Yeah. They'll tell you everything.
Okay.
I don't have, and if you
Sure.
look it up, it's on there's a website and
Wow.
you're not allowed to
Princess.
bring anything in with you whatsoever. The tour guide that is with you will have a dry pack and have emergency supplies. But there's no cameras allowed inside. Once upon a time, people were able to take photos. And so there are professional photos of it because you have to be you have to be mobile enough to do, it's a physical
lot.
activity, especially to
Wow.
climb up. I mean, I was nervous because I was asking the guide, I'm like, okay, we got to climb up this huge wall. I'm like, how do we get down? He's like, the same way you come up. And I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to make it. I'm in decent shape, but I don't do that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's different.
I snorkel. I float face down in the water. You know, like, I don't climb rocks. So, but I did it, and I'm so happy I did. The next thing I highly recommend, if you like Mayan ruins, they have Zunantinich. And what's cool about that is that you need to drive up, and then your car will go on a barge that has a crank, and a Belizean worker or yourself can get out and you crank, and the barge moves across the water, and then you can drive into this
Wow.
national park. It's cool. It's so like that is
Ah.
just fun as an entrance. So that was
Yeah.
really cool. And then to see the Mayan ruins there, and again, learn the history of that is really cool.
Wow.
So another top thing that I love, and this is all in the mainland, would be cave tubing. And so it's a different area. You get in a tube, again with a guide, and you just enjoy the water. And of course, they'll tell you commentary, but it's just fun. It's not too terribly fast. A few places it picks up, but it's fun. You do a little bit of hiking, and the guides are just amazing. They want to tell you everything about their country, and you can ask them anything. So it's just fun.
This sounds a lot more relaxing, Cris. The tubing, the cave tubing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was stressed listening.
If you want the best relaxing part, you got to get on a boat, and you got to do a day trip to an island where you're going to snorkel. And on the way out to whatever island you're going to snorkel for the day, the captain will generally stop. One of the first mates will hop off with their snorkel mask on, and they'll either pick up conch, the conch shell, and or 9 months is lobster season. They have a spear gun, and they'll get you a lobster, and then you get out to these beautiful islands, and they have grills on them, and they'll grill up your lobster for lunch. The conch they use to make ceviche, so they just need lime
or fritters.
And you're literally just like eating everything out of the water, and they bring other stuff for your lunch. And you do snorkel trips out there, and the reefs are fun to see. There's this really cool spot where you snorkel off the boat, and there's a whole bunch of nurse sharks that are underneath. They're the puppy dogs of the sea, and you don't touch anything, but they just swim right below you, and it's so cool. And another section with turtles. And I mean, that's what I'll be doing a lot more this time. I have a lot more plans to do more snorkeling, so I'm excited.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. Awful life.
I know. Let's talk about accommodations. If I'm only able to go there for maybe a week, is it better to Airbnb, VRBO, or is it better to find a nice hotel? Do I want to go to Belize City like you talked about? Do I want to go out in the country?
You definitely, Belize City is just where the airport is, but you're not going to hang out there. A lot of people from there will either head to the coast, and they jump on a ferry, and they go to San Pedro Ambergris Key. That's one place, although it's 4 words, or another island called Key Cocker. That's kind of on the northern-ish. You can also fly there, one of those little puddle jumper planes. Or a lot of people come down my way to Placencia, which is on the coast and a beach community. Or just north of me is a place called Hopkins. Except I still think you have to fly into Placencia to get there, if I remember right. And these are some common beach areas that you can go to. You can do Airbnb and similar sites. A lot of people cross post there. The hotels are not like your Marriott or Hilton or anything like that. It's all boutique style. So there would be anywhere from, say, 5 to maybe 20 rooms associated, maybe more 5 to 10. Francis Coppola, not sure if that name rings a bell for you guys.
The director, producer,
of wine. So a big wine, the wine guy, Coppola Wine.
Sure. But isn't it
He-
both? I think it's also the Godfather guy. I think it's the same dude.
I don't know. Possibly.
I'm gonna
He's gonna
I'm gonna
look it
look
up.
that up, but I
Well,
think it's
yeah,
the same
Google
guy.
that.
But
I'm not sure. Francis Coppola. So he has a resort on the north side of Placencia called Turtle Inn, and even if you're not staying there, their restaurant is open to the public. They have this awesome wine cellar. They do wine tasting as well, and they
Oh.
have a really great pizza oven. And I think their special is still going on Fridays, buy one, get one free, but it's only pizza to go, not to eat in. So
Like,
I
take it.
I have to remember my schedule
Carry
from back
on.
in the day. But that's a lot of fun. And so that's a nice resort. However, the funny thing with that resort, some of my friends for New Year's Eve, they got rooms and stayed there because they do put on a great fireworks show. And but there's not air conditioning in those rooms.
Mm.
So a lot of people do prefer air conditioning because it's a hot and humid country year round. So that's something to keep in mind. But there's lots of other boutique resorts. Personally, for me, I rent apartments and homes. I have a full kitchen, washer. I don't have access to a dryer this time around, so you just line dry your clothes. It's no big deal; they dry.
Right.
And yeah, so, and I'll be across the way from Bubba Wubba where they do the chicken pooping stuff.
So you
They
get all the
only do
chicken
that a
poop
couple
you
times
want.
a year. That's not regular. So yeah, that's
Okay, we
yeah.
were lucky.
So Crystal, you stayed in the same village then?
Yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, and our place was like it was like a hut kind of thing, and because I remember straw, there was like a really strong storm that came, so I do remember straw being in my hair when I got up the next
Yeah.
morning, and we lost power in the middle of the night too.
That
But it was
happens.
cool. No,
Yeah.
but it was part of the experience. Though.
Yeah.
Like it
Now,
made
if
it
you
more fun.
they could have done the chicken thing in a different part of the country as well.
Okay.
If by chance you were in the same village, then you would have been doing it where I said it was at. So
Yeah.
the owner, Bobby, he's a hoot. Yeah, he puts on some fun stuff over there. And Joe, you mentioned about food. So I
Yeah.
told you a little bit
Yeah.
about
Fun.
snorkeling and what you can get, with that.
Oh.
Well, lobster season is 9 months, and it is just
Perfect.
so good. So like anywhere in the country, you're going to be able to get good lobster. But for me in Placencia, there's 2 places specifically I go to. One of them is next to Bubba Wubba's. It's called
Okay.
Doyle's Smoke Yard, YAA', not smoke yard, smoke yard. And Doyle is great. He is one of the top tour guides in the country, but because of the
Oh.
pandemic and all of that had to stop, he started up grilling all sorts of food, and he became a popular caterer in the village. So my first night when I land, I'm going to Doyle's so I can he does these huge lobsters. You get to pick your size. And then he has like 3 or 4 different, what do you call it? Sauces, or you baste
Dips.
the
Oh,
lobster
baste.
with it. So he cracks it open, but then he grills it, and he does the sauce on it, and then he gets sides. And I don't know what the cost is today. I'm curious to see how it'll work out. But when I was there before, I would get this huge lobster and 2 sides and like maybe a soda or something for the equivalent of $17.50 US.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. So
So,
probably leave
15
out the
bucks.
price in case it's
Yeah.
not.
Is
Yeah.
it generally
Kidding.
is everything generally inexpensive in Belize, Chris?
No. It had, I will say, like, especially like rent. So Belizeans are having a really hard time keeping their rent, affordable for how much they earn in a month. Now, for foreigners coming in, for Americans and Canadians coming down, they can often afford the prices there. But even at that, I made a lot of retired expat friends from Canada and US, some from the UK, couple from Africa, and a lot of them were on fixed income, your $2,000 a month Social Security. And some of them were really struggling to make that work. Now, as a foreigner, we have to pay a fee to stay. It's not technically a visa, it's called a tourist permit. And it used to be $50 a month. And during the pandemic, they upped it to $100 a month. And that really hurt a lot of expats that wanted to stay there.
Yeah, if you're on a fixed income, that's
Yeah.
not insignificant.
Right. So, of course there's the other lobster place. Let me circle back to that really quick. Is Dawn's Grill, and Dawn is a local Belizean. She's amazing. Doyle's a Belizean too. And Dawn does a different type of lobster, and I can't. It's smaller and it's sweeter, if you will. It's smaller tail, and she does a really simple side because the lobster itself is just like mouth watering. So, I know I had a friend come in town for Valentine's. We went there. My mom came to visit me one time. I took her there. Like, it's so good. And I can't wait. So Dawn's and Doyle's, you got to get lobster.
Okay.
But the main kind of dish that's popular for Belize is stewed chicken with either rice and beans or beans and rice. And there is a difference. And my Belizean friends are going to kick me because so one of them, like the rice and beans are made separately and then put on your plate. And the other one, the rice and beans are cooked together. So like the juices are of the beans and whatever are together. And I like that one better.
I was just said that sounds better to me too, Cris.
It's so good. But I can't remember, is it rice and beans or beans and rice? I think it's the beans and rice one, but I don't know. When I'm back down, they'll be able to correct me because it's been a while. It's been several years. I haven't been back. I can't wait.
And the language, by the way, is English?
It's English. So Belize is a former the official language. However, they do a Creole. They do not pronounce like R's. They just like take it out. So wada, and stuff like that.
So they're from Maine. They're from Maine.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
pretty much.
I think I've heard that.
And when they get talking really fast, I kind of get lost. But it's funny. I actually, because I've been trying to focus on learning other languages, I do want to be better at least listening to the Creole version. I know I sound ridiculous trying to sound like, I don't want to sound like anything, but I would like, when I am around my Belizean friends, I don't want them to have to feel like they need to speak proper English if it's their crowd and then like I'm hanging out, so
right, they have to interpret for Cris. You don't want that.
So but no, it's great. So it's fun. And then because we're also attached or next to Mexico and Guatemala, there's some Spanish speaking, but in our village, at least back then when I lived there wasn't that much Spanish speaking, and then they would just speak English, all of us, because that's what it is.
That was my next good question. We just had a great couple, Kate and Kimberly, who her family's from Guatemala, and looking on the map, I had no idea it's right next door because I guess I'm geographically challenged. Would it be easy to combine the two of those, or is it really difficult when you get to the border to go across? Have you tried to go to Guatemala while you were there?
I couldn't because of the pandemic before.
Oh yeah, sure.
So our land borders were closed too long. And then when it did open up, the whole like vaccines and this and that. So that just wasn't an option for me when I was there. But
would it be an option now?
Yes. And it has been for years now. But yeah, I have 2 side trips I want to do since I'm coming back. I do want to hop over to Guatemala. There are some Mayan ruins just on the other side of the border. So when you enter Belize as a U.S. passport holder, I get 30 days on entry. And then after that, I have to go to immigration and extend my permit. And it would be my hope that maybe one of my friends with a car on my 30th day would like to go to Guatemala with me.
Just for a couple days?
So for a few hours, let's go see the ruins, or maybe crash for a night and hang out, eat some good food, and then come back just so I can, because when you re-enter, the stamp is free. But if I go to immigration to extend, I pay that $100 per month. Now, the nice thing, so the other thing to know too, is that extension is a half-page sticker. And so when I was there, and every 30 days getting a half-page, this huge sticker in your passport, it eats up pages. You're filling it up. Yeah. So during the pandemic, the government had already in the works, they changed it. So you can buy a 90-day pass permit, visitor permit. So you still have to pay $100 per month. So it's $300. But then they'll give you a sticker, and then they handwrite the 90-day on there. And so that's an option for me. But while I'm in Belize, I want to do a side trip to Guatemala. I might even jump in a plane and go to like Lake Atalan. It's on the other side. So like that I'd have to fly to. And I never made it down to Honduras for the epic snorkeling there. Roatan, a lot of people go to, but my friends in the area were telling me of another place. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to look up this other island and potentially go there and do maybe a week. So I would keep my apartment in Placencia, keep my stuff there, and just grab a small bag and head out with my snorkel stuff and enjoy the waters and then pop back over. So
we've begun asking this a lot lately, Cris. Did you ever worry about in any of these places you go about safety?
No. I've been back in the US. I haven't been here in 4 years. And my third day, there was a shooting around the corner from where I was staying. So no. And just today, driving back, there was a 3-car wreck right in front of me. So
you worry about safety in Arizona.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. Yes.
I made sure before, so I'm visiting my dad and my stepmom, and I knew I would have to drive here. He's letting me drive a truck of his. And I made sure before I got here that he called his insurance to make sure that I was covered, because it's not that I don't trust my ability to drive. I don't trust anyone else here. They're crazy. Right. And especially today, what I saw, like, it was so weird on what, I still don't understand how that one happened, but I don't trust other people. But no, in these other countries, like in Belize, it's illegal to own guns. So like people just don't have it. Now, are there guns in the country? Of course, they're around, but it's just not there. You want to avoid Belize City. You don't really want to stay there. There are 2 known gangs there. It's quite publicized. And just as a foreigner visiting, you just don't stay there. And let alone if for some reason you don't go out at 2:00 in the morning, like it's just common sense, so so no, I just no issues in Belize. Some random stuff happens. I mean, I have some good stories from back in the day, but I don't know how much you want to get into them. I can tell you all about drug running cocaine from Honduras north.
Holy.
So that's what I learned during the pandemic. So
you learned how to drug run cocaine?
Not myself, but I got to see it happen. I got to see it happen.
Oh, you saw it.
And I learned about the process and how it's done and why they do it the way they do. It's very fascinating.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
So if Digital Nomad doesn't work out, Cris, maybe.
True crime.
Hey, I've got, other means.
Welcome Cris from Breaking Bad 2, right? The last thing we need to do is we'll turn the music up because it's time for our gear of the day.
Well, speaking of gear too, Francis Ford Coppola is of the Godfather fame and the winery. That's what
same person. It is the same person.
Yeah, in the chat.
So you have thanks to Tracy again from
Tracy
Divorce Money Guide for helping us out there.
Thank you.
And I know I knew they had a wine called Director's Cut, but I didn't know that was actually, you know what I mean? Maybe they did it just riffing off of it, but it turns out that it is his wine. So thanks, Tracy.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
And it's delicious
Tracy,
too.
It is.
It is delicious. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. So we've got this product that you use in the kitchen, part silicone, part mesh, late at night or in the morning. I got nothing. Crystal?
Some kind of a cup.
A cup with a mesh cover.
Yeah, a tea thing, maybe. You want your morning tea and your night tea.
Oh, that's a good one. Crystal?
Thank you.
All right, Cris. Is Crystal right?
She's pretty close. So this is the silicone piece that I was talking about.
Oh,
so
and for people not with us on YouTube and just listening, it collapses.
Yeah, it collapses. So that's why it's travel.
It looks like a funnel almost.
And it's like a funnel. So this part would sit on top of your coffee mug. And then this is a mesh filter. And it's mostly used for coffee. So you can
Okay.
do pour over coffee. So you would put
Fantastic.
the silicone coffee dripper on top of your coffee mug, put your coffee in the mesh filter, and then you'd use a hot water from a kettle to pour over. And some people might use it for tea. I'm a coffee girl.
Okay.
And the mesh filter is great because I don't need to go out and buy anything. And, I just toss the coffee grounds, or if there's any, compost or anything, you can dump the coffee in that and it cleans up super fast. And I put both of these together. They lay really flat.
It
Stick
takes
them
up
in
no
a
room.
Ziploc. It takes up no room. And this has been my favorite thing because I get really good coffee all around the world, but sometimes I don't have access to a coffee maker,
Right.
or they might have a Keurig, and like if I'm traveling with my own good coffee beans, like that doesn't necessarily work out. So I love a good pour over coffie now.
Yeah, that opens up your coffee options, because I've seen people stuck. They buy this great stuff and they got to wait till they get home.
Yeah, I've been in Ecuador. I have some family there, and I still have some Ecuadorian grounds with me right now. So this is how, I use it. And
Nice.
so this is my favorite newer hack, because I just found I would be in some places and the other thing I've learned over the years, I don't like the instant coffee that you just add hot water.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't like that. And that was
Yeah.
like really, really popular in Europe. The Nescafe brand, and in parts of Asia. So that's why my mom and I just met up. I had Amazon this to her house. She brought it to me, and I have just been a happy little girl ever since.
That's
So,
funny.
and
When we were hiking in Nepal, it was all the instant coffee, and it sucked so bad, Chris.
It's awful.
It was so bad.
It's so bad. So, but something that you might use in Nepal as well is something like this. This is another thing I just picked up. I haven't used it yet, but
it says
I
Life
will.
Straw.
It says Life Straw, and it is a metal straw. It also says Life Straw here. Hard to see. But this end has a filter. You put it in your cup of water. This is the part you would start drinking out of. So it will help filter out any bacterias and stuff like that. So this is great if you're going to be in areas that you're unsure about the water, or even in hotels. I don't know how many people... I don't drink tap water in hotels. You do not know what's in the pipes or anything like this.
I would never.
Well, they've just told us we've been in Mexico and in Peru, just generally don't drink the water. Make sure it's from a bottle, but I don't want to drink stuff out of the plastic bottle. Are you saying that I can drink the tap water using that?
Yeah. So like in Placencia, so I'm really, really lucky. Placencia Village does have their own water treatment plant. It's the only part in Belize that you can actually drink the tap water. Now, I'm still just very, very careful. The other thing, Crystal, you had mentioned about losing power. They do have brownouts. The north half of the country gets electricity from Mexico. The southern half gets electricity from somewhere else. Occasionally power goes out. It's just how it is. And when the power goes out, you don't want to drink your tap water. The water processing plant will have generators, but everyone just knows, like, you want to wait a day or so. So what I do is I'll have the tap water and I'll put it like in a pitcher, because I like cold water, put it in the fridge, and then I'll pour it into a cup, and then I'll use the straw. And it's just like one extra layer of protection, just in case, if by chance your stomach does get upset. In Belize and Mexico, you can just walk into the pharmacy and ask for an anti-parasite pill. And it's 1 or 2 pills. It's $1, and you just take it, and it will help your system kind of get back in gear. So you don't need to do like Imodium or anything like that. You can, so that's a thing. But yeah, I'm excited to try the Life Straw. I've never used it in the past, but I buy a lot of bottled water, and I'm kind of, I'm trying to avoid all that plastic too.
Yeah, 100%.
My last item I was going to show you guys is this little thing. You might recognize that. It says Starbucks. It is Tupperware. It is collapsing Tupperware.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it pops back out. Oh, that's neat.
So it's also silicone, so I can microwave it. And what I do is I always try and travel with a packet of ramen noodles or soup. Because if I get in really, really late and I'm tired, normally I'll have access to water in a kettle. I'll boil water. I'll put the soup in here or ramen, and I'll have a bowl of food
something
before I go to bed. So that's one thing that I also travel with. And I have a set of camping cutlery as well. It's just packed away somewhere. So I have my camping cutlery. I find that I use this collapsible Tupperware. I use a small backpack for a purse. So when I'm out during the day, I'll have this in it. So if I go out to eat, I can put my leftovers in here and bring it home.
That was what I was thinking, Cris. That's fantastic.
And then also, like I said, I have the camping cutlery. So I have a fork, a spoon, and a knife. And if I do, need to eat anything, or in Bali, I love staying up in Ahmed, and I stay at this little resort, and they have a mini fridge. Well, I'll go to the local produce stand and I'll get fruit. I love dragon fruit. And so I'll cut that up. I'll put it in the Tupperware. I'll put it inside the fridge. And then I have my fork and knife, so I can just eat it whenever I want to. So I don't always have to keep going out to eat as well. So, so those are some of my travel tools that I like to have with me.
And they're all so compact.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that takes up no room.
Well, and honestly, inside my collapsible Tupperware, I have some tea and some sugar packets, because anytime I go to a cafe, I always grab one more sugar packet. And so it fits inside there. So everything is, compact, and it's great.
I never thought about this.
Much for broom.
I never thought about this at all until yesterday. I was watching just a short video with Rick Steves on a stage, and Rick was talking about how, your goal is always to get more compact, to see if you can travel with less, travel less. He goes, and I know some of you are doubting it, but you've never heard anybody brag, "Oh my God, I've been 18 places and now I travel with more luggage."
Right.
And I never realized that that's a thing, but that totally over my life has been, I want less.
And when I first left the US, I had one of the extra large suitcases. Then I had a carry-on suitcase and a regular, I call it the high school day pack. It holds a computer and everything.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, a decent size, but not like a backpacker's backpack. And that extra large suitcase, it was over whatever weight limit. And I just remember I had to pay like $100. And I'm like, okay, so I got down, I went to Mexico first. And when I got there, I also was living on the third story of a condo building. So the top floor of that building, and the taxi driver had to put it on his shoulder and carry it up because there's no elevator. It's just, stairs. And so once I got up there the next day, I opened it up and I left half of it behind. I donated almost, much as I could.
No more.
And today, 5-6 years later, I have one medium suitcase and then that same high school day pack thing. And that's it. And occasionally I do travel with 2 reusable grocery bags. And so occasionally on a plane, if I can have my personal item, I'll use that grocery bag. And then the carry-on item is my day pack. And I might put a few more things in there, which I'm going to have to do now because since I'm here in the States, I'm loading up. I was in Kansas City where I was born. I got Gates barbecues. I have a big old bottle of Gates barbecue sauce. So that's got to go in the luggage. Here, I just got some shampoo and conditioner that I cannot, you can get shampoo and conditioner in Belize, but not the brand, that I wanted. And then yesterday I went to a grocery store and I picked up seasoning packets of taco seasoning, chili seasoning, ranch dressing, onion dip, and a big old bag of Tex-Mex, Cajun flavored Tex-Mex. So
they're going to think you're smuggling food into the country.
I know. So, but I just wanted some of these things that, were comforts. I haven't been back in the US in 4 years. I'm going down. I know some things are harder to get than others. So I'm going to have to figure out how to shove all this in my bag because it's full with just my life stuff, which isn't all that much in the first place. But I'm determined it's going to happen. And then, you know, I'm sure I'll consume everything in a month anyways. So it'll be gone soon enough.
The seasoning packets
That's
are a
funny.
great idea if you're slow traveling and you're eating at home.
Right.
Like that's fantastic. to get
Oh, I
little
had a
taste of-
dilemma. I didn't know if I wanted to get Mrs. Dash multi-purpose seasoning or Lowry's seasoning.
Oh.
Lowry's doesn't have as much in it, and it had salt. So I went with Mrs. Dash, no salt.
No salt.
But I've got a nice big bottle of that too to take down.
I like that. I've been addicted to the Kinder
Ooh,
ones
yeah,
lately.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
are
yeah.
super good, but I think those all have salt in them.
Probably.
I think they all do.
Yeah.
All right, adventurers, here is the
Aw.
question for you. Have you been to Belize? Do you have stories about Belize to tell? If so, Crystal, how do people share their story for our upcoming episode?
Actually, I feel like I have not been to Belize after listening to all the fun stuff Chris did. But we want
gotta
to hear
go back,
your story.
Crystal.
I do. I'm definitely going back with this amazing list. So you please head to stackingadventures.com/mystory because we want to hear your story. And please help us because I did Belize all wrong. Don't let anyone else do Belize wrong. So add to what Chris brought to us.
Yeah, I think I will take the ATM cave over the chicken poop. I think I will.
I'm not that cave sounds I would love to see pictures of the Diamond Princess. I don't need to
It's
see
cool.
her.
Yeah.
That
in
is
person.
so creepy cool. Chris, thank you for being our tour guide
Yes,
today.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And
This
safe
was
travels,
fun.
my friend.
Thanks.
Yes.
All right, Crystal, that's going to do it for today. How do
That's
we sign
Joe,
off? Oh, and I'm
Let's-
Crystal. She's Crystal.
And I'm Joe.
And let's get the show on the road.
Well, it's off the road now.
Oh, let's get the show off the road. Right. Anyway, we've been doing this how long? All right. See you later, everybody. All right. That's a take. Cool. Nice job. Tracy, anybody else hanging out with us? Glad you're here with us.
Thank you. And Tracy
And-
knew that it was for coffee.
Yeah. I saw
she
guessed
did know
right.
it. She did
Yeah.
have it.
Probably
Show
if
off.
she follows my page, I've already posted
Oh,
about
She
it.
probably saw
Uh-huh.
it. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. Chris, hang on for just a second. We're just going to say goodbye and hit stop.